Welcome to Scary Stories, the channel that tells you scary stories.
Hey, it's your old pal Bigfoot, and for Halloween I thought I'd do something a little different as an extra Halloween treat. For these last 10 days of Halloween, I'd like to highlight a different bunch of scary movies for you each day. Some of my favorites that you might not be aware of. Whenever possible, I'll try to find movies available here on YouTube, but some of them you might need to look a little harder for. This isn't intended as any kind of definitive list, just a highly subjective one which you can feel free to disagree with. I might come up with an entirely different list myself if I did this again on another day. It's just for fun and to share movies I love. I would link to the movies in the description, but with the speed of change on the internet, the links would probably change before tomorrow. I invite you to search YouTube or the internet for each of these old gems though. To start off the 10 days of festivities, I figured it's only natural that I'd start off with my top 10 movies starring me,
Bigfoot.
Number 10, Willow Creek. This is not really a good Bigfoot movie or a great movie at all, but I like that Bobcat Goldthwait set out to make a film that was sympathetic to Bigfoot witnesses. As you may have already surmised, I wasn't blown away by the results. I tried to watch this on TV 2 times and I fell asleep both times, so I asked my friends about it and I couldn't find any of them that really cared for it too much either. But we love the idea and we love Bobcat for being a good guy. By the way, this is not a comedy, so don't expect Police Academy or even Shakes the Clown. Number 9, The Mysterious Monsters, aka Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monster, from 1975. This was one of my favorite documentaries when I was a kid. It stars Peter Graves, and it goes over the basic monster myths of the 1970s, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, and so on. They interview Grover Krantz, who expounds on his theories about the lifestyle of Sasquatches without ever explaining exactly where he drew his conclusions from. The production is not formulaic like modern scary documentaries, and it isn't afraid to experiment. The scenes of a Bigfoot witness being hypnotized into recalling the encounter are nothing like what we see in documentaries these days. The entire show has an attitude of deadly seriousness which makes it a bit campy when looking back on it today. Still, this movie gave me the shivers as a kid. Number 8, Bigfoot, 1970. This is a really weird and funny low-budget John Carradine movie which pits motorcycle riders versus rednecks versus an entire family of Bigfoot. These Bigfoot carry primitive handmade weapons and are adept at taking cute girls captive and tying them to trees. Eventually, they tie John Carradine to a tree and he has a conversation with the pretty girls captured earlier. What's not to love with a movie like this? Number 7, The Curse of Bigfoot. This movie was actually an imitation of Mexican Aztec mummy horror films, but it got repackaged with a few extra scenes cut in and released as a Bigfoot movie in the 1970s. It's worth it for the classroom scenes where the teacher explains the history of monsters to the class. Number 6, The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. This is an old black and white movie from the 1950s starring Peter Cushing from the Hammer horror films and Forrest Tucker from F Troop. It's about an expedition to find the Yeti and all the mysteries and troubles they encounter. Not much in the way of seeing monsters, but it's an interesting old movie and shows the attitudes taken toward the Yeti back in those days. There was much more of an attitude of acceptance about the existence of these things back in that era. Number 5. Snowbeast. 1977. This one has the Yeti harassing people at a ski resort with tall, blonde, heroic Bo Svenson to the rescue. When I was a kid, I found the Yeti in this very frightening. He seemed savage and unpredictable to me at the time. I'm not sure how well it holds up, as I haven't seen it in decades. I remember it being talky, but all monster movies were in those days, pretty much. You wait for the monster scenes, and in this one, I thought they were pretty good. Number 4. Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot, from the 70s sometime. There are Bigfoot fans who love Ivan Marks and Bigfoot fans who hate Ivan Marks. I personally love him, as his Sasquatch documentaries are always so much more entertaining than real documentaries. He would shoot, write, and narrate the films by himself. Supposedly, sometimes it was his wife dressed up as Bigfoot, moving around in the woods, acting like Chaka from Land of the Lost. Of course, Marks would always call it real footage. I wish I could show you some of my favorite scenes, but the last time I did, I got a copyright claim, so never again. This is a good movie to watch with your friends, and you can all take a drink of Sasquatch sauce each time Marks says, "Bigfoot? Bigfoot," on the voiceover. Actually, you'll probably need to stop the film after a half hour to avoid alcohol poisoning. Number 3. The Creature from Black Lake. Not the creature from the Black Lagoon. He was a reptilian. This creature was a Sasquatch, like me. I remember watching this as a kid. Jack Elam and Dub Taylor play the same characters they always played, and Bigfoot tries to eat everyone. It's a good kids' monster movie from that period. The scene where Bigfoot comes out of the water and tries to get in Jack Elam's boat is pretty creepy. It really makes the monster menacing when you know he might come from any direction at any time. There's really no safe space if this aquatic Bigfoot decides he doesn't like you. Number 2. The Legend of Boggy Creek. This was the first really great Bigfoot movie. The Legend of Boggy Creek rearranged the childhoods of an entire generation of monster kids. We went from loving imaginary monsters in Universal and Hammer horror films to wondering if there were real monsters around every corner, lurking behind every tree and bush. I grew up in the Bronx, but I was still afraid of Bigfoot. The scene of the monster reaching through the window to grab the girl was played on TV commercials over and over during creature features back then, and all the kids I knew in the projects a few blocks from me went to see that movie at least one time each. When I was a kid, I thought stuff was cool if the kids in the projects like it. That's how it was in the Bronx in the 1970s, and the kids in the projects loved The Legend of Boggy Creek. Now, my number 1 favorite Bigfoot movie is another film entitled Bigfoot. This one is from 2012, and I believe it was made for the Sci-Fi Channel. The Sasquatch in this movie is extra large, kind of somewhere between Mighty Joe Young and King Kong size. He's so big he stomps on people. The reason this Bigfoot movie is my favorite is not for the script, believe me. It's definitely not for the special effects, which are below the level of animation that teenagers on YouTube can produce on their laptops. No, the reason to watch this Bigfoot movie is to get to see Greg Brady and Danny Partridge have a fist fight. If you're my age and you grew up watching the Brady Bunch and Partridge Family on Friday nights, then this movie will provide you with a really fun time. When I got to meet Barry Williams and sing Sunshine Day with him in a crowd of wannabe Bradys at the Northeast Comic-Con, I wanted so badly to mention this movie to him, but I didn't know if he would laugh or if he would sock me on the nose, so I didn't. I wanted to tell him I was rooting for him to beat Danny Partridge in the fight. But please, nobody tell Danny I said that. Anyway, the 2012 Bigfoot film is definitely not the scariest Sasquatch movie ever, but I feel it's the most fun one. And so those are my top 10 favorite Bigfoot movies for today. Which ones do you think I left out? Please let me know in the comments. Do you have any good recommendations for other Sasquatch movies? Please share them with the rest of us. We'll be back with an all-new Dogman story in the morning as Halloween Hellhound Month continues. Then come back tomorrow night and I'll have my favorite Frankenstein movies of all time. This is your old pal Bigfoot signing out for now. I was curious when the next Northeast Comic-Con is and who's going to be appearing there. Boy, was I surprised when I checked their website and found out it says I'm going to be there. And it's Thanksgiving weekend. I did my due diligence as a fake news journalist and discovered that yes, in fact, they are offering to pay for me to go out and appear as myself, braving the traffic to and from Boston on one of the craziest weekends of the year. So I guess if you live in Massachusetts and you're bored of Tofurkey after Thanksgiving, then come on down and say hi to Futurama's own Billy West, Godzilla's co-star Akira Takarada, and other luminaries who I assume must live near Boston. Sounds like fun. See you there.
Bigfoot Attacked My Tiny House. Scary Stories by Peter Bernard, Volume 1. Now available on Amazon in paperback